What's going on, everybody? Proud to announce the Spotlight Sports Network are partnered with SeatGeek. Save $20 off your first order for live events, concerts, and sporting events, and more. All you have to do is just insert the promo code Spotlight Sports Network to save today. Again, that's Spotlight Sports Network and save $20. Yo, yo, yo. What is up? What is up? It is me. It's me. It's Keen. We're back. We're in the building with another Coffee and Sports Morning Show. And I got my guys. We got Scott. We got Coach Dante up here on this beautiful Friday morning. How y'all doing, guys?
Doing great. Thanks. Glad to be back on.
I'm doing great. Let's get right into it.
Good to see you.
Postseason.
Scott in the building.
Go ahead, Dante.
I said I always be up here. Good to be up here with my good friends Scott and Key. I'm ready to get started.
Good to be back now with you.
sir.
I enjoyed the fireworks with Gene yesterday. That was a lot of fun with Gene and Brett. That was neat. So, anytime you put two people like Gene and I, Coach, I wish you would have been on that show just to watch Gene and I have the ability to interact. He's a good guy. I really enjoyed working with this guy.
But postseason football, postseason baseball is here as well. So all the wild card games will be on today, starting. I forget who's the first game today.
12 o'clock. I guess you have Cleveland against Tampa. I didn't see any of those as part of your topic. So if you want to throw a few on the fly, don't worry.
Yeah, no, I was just stating that postseason baseball's here, but we always get off tangent some way somehow. But Jesus Christ, we really, really have to talk about this ugly ass game from last night. My God, Thursday night football was horrible at its best. We had the Denver Broncos go up against the Indianapolis Colts in Mile High, where Russell wasn't so high last night. That game, all we saw was field goals, but the Colts did pull that game out and get the victory. Dante, I know you streamed this game, and I felt bad for you just had to sit through that debacle. Tell us about this game last night.
Trust me, you have to feel bad for me because I ain't give a damn about the game last night, to be honest with you. But again, I just love football, but the game was a mess. It was a flat out mess. We all knew the Colts was going to struggle with Jonathan Taylor. They ended up finding him. Give credit to their defense. Gus Bradley, how well he schemed. They stopped the run game. Russell Wilson was off target all night. He missed a wide open pass to Jerry Jeudy in the end zone when he had the linebacker on him. Then he overthrew another pass to Jerry Jeudy wide open, heading towards the end zone when he beat the cornerback. Then he threw it. It's just like him and Jerry Jeudy wasn't on target all night long after the first play, which the first play was a slant. That was a hell of a catch by Jerry Jeudy. They weren't on target last night. It was 3 times Jerry Jeudy was actually wide open that Russell Wilson did not connect with him. The second one, Jerry Jeudy had to come back up under. The ball was underthrown. Other than that, if he throws the ball to the sideline, Jerry Jeudy has the ball. But other than that, running game couldn't get going. Melvin Gordon didn't fumble the ball. Play calling was like horrible, like it was. You up 9-6. You had to go. You at the red zone. Now you tell me why you decide your defense has been playing great all night long. You tell that reminded me of the Super Bowl when Pete Carroll threw the football, elected to throw the football, and Russell Wilson just threw it away. Just threw it away. You tell me why you decide to throw a football, and all you had to do was run the football and just kick the field goal. You're up 12-6. You got to force them to score a touchdown. Your defense has been getting home all night. Bradley Chubb and Browning was a beast the whole night. Matt Ryan literally couldn't get anything going, but you decide to throw an interception in the end zone, and I don't know why that play was called, but I'd rather be safe with it, knowing my defense was great last night, and the coach was able to capitalize, go down the field, kick a field goal, and then Broncos get the football right back. They do nothing, absolutely nothing. When they go down the field, and then another play call that I probably would have called. I would have let Russell Wilson on a 4th down and 1 on a RPO read option keep. He has a decision to keep the ball or hand it to Melvin Gordon. What does he do? He decides to throw it and test Stephon Gilmore, which is Stephon Gilmore caught an interception and batted the ball down out of Cortland Sutton. Just terrible play calls again by Nathaniel Hackett. This was an ugly game. And like I say, I just blame it on Russell Wilson. Got to make better decision, but the play call in the red zone was god awful. So, I mean, I can blame play calling because, again, you have no business throwing the football in the red zone when you're up, when you have a chance to go up a touchdown. Your defense is playing great all night long. The coach couldn't get anything going. And then on a 4th and 1, I would have just made Russell Wilson make a decision with if he keep it or just run it. But other than that, that's my opinion. I just thought it was a terrible play calling game, and especially by Russell Wilson, a terrible game overall by this whole offense.
Want me to be real blunt? Okay. You guys ready for early morning Friday bluntness? Okay. I was doing Inside the Pigskin last night on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. Had a whole lot of fun talking about a little topics on my network. And you know what? We had more fun than you guys did probably watching that game. Really. I mean, you're talking about 2 quarterbacks that supposedly are offensive quarterbacks, and we were reduced to nothing more than a field goal kicking game. This game sent offense back to the Stone Age is what we did. Matt Ryan, okay, against Russell Wilson, and all you can amass with these 2 players is a mere 21 points. Some of these Thursday games are absolutely disgusting, and I'll save my voice for these other topics because they're really good, and this one is really bad, like the Thursday night product. But I had more fun on my show with Mel Farr Jr., Steve Ballesteri, Jennifer Matthew Lewis, and let's see, who was my other co-host there? Well, let's see, I had 3. And Mel Farr Jr., you've seen him around, Coach. So all my guys last night, I had more fun with them than anything else. So to me, it's just one of those deals where you go ahead and you set offensive football back a long ways. And, it's really, really, really sad, too, when during a time when, to me, you've got all this offense out there, and that's all you can muster up. You have a guy that doesn't belong as a head coach, okay, Nathaniel Hackett. You have Frank Reich, who's arguably probably out there, to me, on his last leg. And the other guy was missing was Smoking Jeremy, who covers the line. So those are my crew last night. So to make a long story short, if I'm capable, I had more fun on my show than the freak show that you guys saw last night that they disguised as Thursday Night Football. Yes, there had to be a winner. Then again, maybe there didn't, because I think Indianapolis has a tie, right? So nobody has to be a winner these days. But yeah, Indianapolis won an ugly game, and I'll just give you 3 letters that describes last night. UGH. Okay, not ugly. Take it for what it's worth.
So I just, not saying a question, but I just got something to get off my chest.
Okay.
There is no way in hell we have a quarterback like Russell Wilson who is capable of winning these types of games, because we've seen him do it throughout his whole career in Seattle. He is the reason why Seattle's won more games than I can even know, because we all know Russell Wilson put the game on the line when it came to Seattle. But there's no way you can't tell me if Russell don't like a play, you can't audible and change it at the line. There is no way. You had, mind you, it was 2:38 or 2. It was 2.5 minutes left before it even ended in the tie. It's 4th and 1.
Yeah, no question about it. You can never heard of Marshawn Lynch? He was pretty good.
Right. Hold up. But even then, you mean to tell me, so you got 1 yard. Mind you, you still had a timeout, 2.5 minutes, 2-minute warnings coming up. You mean to tell me you can't get a yard, even if you don't get in the end zone, you still get you still get new sets of downs to possibly even get you a touchdown. It's just mind boggling if something's not working with the play calling. Like ECG said, it could not be the play calling, just how you execute it. He had KJ Hamler wide open, wide open. He could have just threw it to him, but he wanted to throw the Sutton on with Stephon Gilmore right there, one of the top. One of the best defenders that the game's seen, but you want to try your luck with Sutton with Stephon Gilmore, where you even should have ran it in because you had a room. You could have got that yard, Russell, or you could have just threw it to KJ Hamler.
Yeah, let me point out some East Coast gridiron. Just mentioned everyone had Russ in their top 10. LOL. East Coast is actually on target. Maybe that might have been a few years ago, but this year we're seeing the rise of a lot of young quarterbacks that are in that top 10. And slowly but surely, Russell Wilson, to me, is playing in a new system with a coach who's not qualified. I don't definitely feel he's in the top 10. I don't know if he's on the downside of his career, but he's certainly not enhancing his stock by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm actually on point with what East Coast Gridiron had to say there. But again, it's still early in the year. I don't want to sit there and overjudge or prejudge anybody. Remember, we're only talking week 5, folks, okay? Let's talk about the complete report card at the end of the year, not on October 7th, 2022 at 10:12 a.m. That's the easiest darn thing to do. Last night, did he show sign of regressing? Of course he did. But then again, maybe did he show it last year that Denver's so desperate to find a quarterback that they've had 9 million of them since Peyton Manning left? I mean, if Jeff Driscoll is one of your quarterbacks in that pecking order, you got a problem there. Okay, so I don't know. The regression, did it occur at the end of last year? Did it occur this year? New system? I don't know. But the fact that Denver lost, to me, makes Nathaniel Hackett close to being a one-and-done head coach if they can't figure things out before long.
Dante, anything to add to that? Russell Wilson regressing this year?
You're starting to see some signs, but again, like I said, I'm gonna go back to on my statement what I said. Execution, it comes to everything, man. Like I said, I think it comes to everything. Execution and play calling in bad situations of the game. Now, on that 4th and 1, he did have, when you look back at it, he did have room to run. He did have room to run. The offensive line was great. You did have KJ Hamler in the back of the end zone, but I didn't think you saw him. I think he already had his mind made up that he was throwing to Cortland Sutton. When you already have your mind made up, when you saw how fast he threw the ball, Corey, he was literally looking for Cortland Sutton. But the play that I had an actual problem with was the 9-6 when they turned the ball over in the end zone. When your defense is playing great all night and getting pressure, you could have easily made it a 6-point game and just did a safer play or either run the football. But you decide to get aggressive and throw on Stephon Gilmore, it was a terrible throw by Russell Wilson. It was inside, and Stephon Gilmore ended up picking it off. I thought, for me, I would have played it safe. My defense has been playing good. I would have made Matt Ryan go out and get a touchdown. I would have made him go out and get a touchdown on that drive, which is they end up getting a field goal and driving down the field. So that's the only issue I with. But Russell Wilson, it was several throws he should have hit last night. Several throws to Jerry Jeudy. All the throws to Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy was wide open. Russell Wilson did not connect. So Russell Wilson basically, he's got to take the fall for this one. He's got to take most of the fall for this one. I just thought execution and the play call right there when they was down, when they was up 9-6. I thought I would have played it more safer. It made my defense win the game on that last one. But Russell Wilson wasn't on target last night with Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton. He wasn't on target with none of the receivers last night.
The only thing I'll say about Russell Wilson is right now, to me, he looks bewildered and is dealing with a Rocky Mountain low. You can't find Jerry Jeudy, arguably one of the better receivers out there. There's something wrong. To me, here's a guy that could have benefited for he should have seen more playing time in preseason. I know coaches frown upon that, but this guy needed all the reps that he could get going to Denver. And the contract will be what it is, but a bewildered quarterback dealing with a Rocky Mountain low. Take it for whatever the heck it's worth. But we need to see more. But I don't like what I'm seeing right now in a division which is very much for the taking, except for the Kansas City Chiefs. Otherwise, in my opinion, that there could easily be a wild card team in that division. Don't see any reason why Denver couldn't be it. But boy, I don't like what I see so far up in the Mile High City.
Is it? Can you say it hasn't been just? Is it bad play calling or is it bad Russell Wilson?
Combination of both, but more so, I think the everything falls back on Russell Wilson. I really do. I really do. Right now, here's a veteran quarterback. He should know better. He should know. He should have seen an awful lot of different things coming all along. Good quarterbacks adapt everywhere. They know the language of the way the game is. And I think the one thing I've always talked about, and Mel Farr Jr., who's on my show every week, tells me just keep the playbook simple. Quit trying to be complex about the playbook. And the more complex it gets, the worse it is. You go through so many plays during a game, you know what? And how many of them are you going to use and how many of them are you not going to use? So I think the biggest problem in the NFL today are coaches overthink things, and so do the players. And yes, Key, you're right. There's no crime in audibling, none at all. If you see something that isn't right, geez, old Pete's have enough confidence. Go just let the quarterback go out there and make the changes and back your guy for doing it. Remember, coaches, you're not on the field playing. These guys are. Okay, they're the ones that are getting banged up, and they either make you look good or bad. And you have a busted up play that looks good and it's a positive offensive gain, then nobody sweats anyways. So I think it's a combination of both to answer the question.
All right.
It's a combination of both, but Russell Wilson got a whole list for tonight. Last night, I think I'll put the game solely on Russell Wilson. Those throws you got to make. You got to be able to complete. Jerry Jeudy is running wide on the sideline for a wide open touchdown, and he ends up throwing it over Jared Judy's head. That was an easy touchdown, and he couldn't get it there. Execution was a little bit better, but Russell Wilson definitely got to make better decision makings with the football and put the ball more on point. So I gave the benefit of this to Russell Wilson, even though I did not like the play call in regulation. When the coach went down there and tied it up at 9, I thought you should have did a safer play. When knowing your defense has been great all night, to make the Colts go down there and score a touchdown, it probably wouldn't even came to that red zone overtime situation when your defense is playing bad. Now you don't score. Now Matt Ryan done finally put a drive together to go get a field goal. So that's the only thing I had the problem with Nathaniel Hackett up on that right there. Throwing it towards Stephon Gilmore, and then the throw, which is so bad, Stephon Gilmore ended up laying out and catching the interception. I just thought you should have did a safer. Just thought you should have played it safe right there and just kicked the field goal, made them score a touchdown after they could not get anything going all night long.
Is it do y'all think that it's a one and done for Hackett?
Gosh, you know what, Key, the way it's looking, I have a feeling that it is. Unless I can be convinced when you have a roster that talented on paper, and I preface the words on paper, I got to believe that it will be a one and done. One and dones do happen in the NFL. They're not as frequent, but they probably do. And for some reason, if first impressions matter, I think Nathaniel Hackett would be better served and back in Green Bay working with Aaron Rodgers instead of what could have happened the other way around. So right now, to answer your question, Key, I'm going to say yes.
Dante?
The way it's looking, if these guys continue to be inconsistent and he continues to be inconsistent, I will say this will be his only year that he will be a head coach in this league. So I will say the way it's looking, I will say yes.
Yeah, most definitely. So Denver got something to do, something, I don't know. They got to have a team meeting, come to Jesus moment already for we in 5, 6 already, week 5, y'all got to have a come to Jesus moment. So, I don't know, but like Spotlight said, this is presented by Dr. Pepper. Dante with his Dr. Pepper this morning. But yeah, I definitely want to get that game out of my system. And the next week's game ain't gonna be no better. We got Washington versus the Bears. So yeah, that game was just horrendous yesterday. But moving on.
Yeah, before you do though, thanks Brett for reminding everybody that Russell Russell Wilson is a $245 million quarterback. Yeah, I don't know if you guys understand, but there's 12 commandments and not 10. Okay, we all know about Moses creating the first 10, but thou shalt not get caught and thou shalt not overpay. And it looks like the Broncos are on the wrong end of the 12th commandment, thou shalt overpay, a la Russell Wilson. So there you go. Little FYI for this Friday morning.
All right, moving on here. We all know these two guys we about to talk about are one of the best in the NFL. But if you had to choose who you would want on your team, would you pick Micah Parsons or would you pick Aaron Donald?
Who do you want to go first there, Coach? Me again? I don't
Yeah,
care.
you can go first.
All right, I'm going to go Aaron Donald. He's got the ring and he's got the cachet out in L.A. Micah Parsons later, but not right away. I mean, let's face it, kid. Reality, he's just beginning his career. But I love everything I've seen about Micah Parsons, but I got to lean on Aaron Donald for now. He's got a championship ring, and he's established himself as a fixture with the Rams.
I'm going to go with Aaron Donald. I'm going to take Aaron Donald too. Michael Parsons will be in the future, but Aaron Donald's the only, like I say, I never seen a defensive tackle like him that can just get triple team and just get to the quarterback and just throw people up out of the way as consistently as he does. And like I say, I mean, that dude is just a man to man's boys. But Michael Parsons is gonna be there sooner or later, man. I just seen both of these guys wreck games by themselves. I mean, Aaron Donald is just, oh my goodness, man. Aaron Donald's just ridiculous. Even when he gets double teamed, he still gets to the quarterback. So yeah, I'll take Aaron Donald.
You know what? I need to ask East Coast Gridiron to clarify his question in the chat room, maybe because I don't understand it. What does he mean by the Willie Taggart treatment? I don't even know where he's going with this at all. And if I can give you a bona fide answer, I will. Otherwise, I'm not going to even talk about it.
Aaron Donald to do what he did with the team since 2019. And
yeah, but I'm a little further up, Key. He talks about giving him a Willie Taggart treatment. I don't know how Willie Taggart enters this show at all. I'm a little bit lost, East Coast Gridiron.
It might have been when we was talking about Russell Wilson.
Okay, Russell Wilson, one and done. I'm just trying to go ahead and understand where he's going with it. Okay, Willie Taggart, FSU. Okay, so clarify further. Okay.
He said they got rid of him quickly. They need to go. He needs to go.
Okay, well, whatever. They did move on from Willie Taggart. He's with Florida Atlantic. We'll see where Willie goes. I'm not sure if I understand.
Meaning Hackett got to go. Okay. They got rid of him quickly. It was
all right. So he's saying, okay. Thanks for explaining.
Towards the Russell Wilson. I mean, it's reference towards Nathaniel Hackett.
Okay, so if he's making the reference toward Nathaniel Hackett, Willie Taggart, East Coast Gridiron, I might see a little bit of validity with it. Thank you very much for agreeing with me. I just wanted some clarity on it, so I knew how to comment. Thanks for clarifying it. I really appreciate it.
Let's see. Brett says Parsons. He says right now he's taking Aaron Donald. He said, I am out winning now, Aaron Donald. I'm building towards the future. Then there's Parsons. But he said right now he'll take it. He's taking A. I mean, they both are great, but I will still have to stick with Aaron Donald because I feel like Aaron Donald can still go some more years. But eighth time defensive player of the year, Super Bowl champion. What more can you want in a player like Aaron Donald? But Parsons is coming up, and he's gonna be that up and coming star for years to come.
Well, Aaron Donald, number one, is cashing in on the fact you make a little extra money and the chance to repeat for a Super Bowl. So, why not come back for another year and give it a whirl with the team you have? The only problem that Aaron Donald made there is the team isn't as good. They're suffering on the wideout end. Matthew Stafford's getting hit a lot, so I can appreciate him wanting to come back and try to maximize his ability to play football at a high level. And by the way, East Coast Gridiron, if you ever want to get back to me and talk Willie Taggart, you know how to reach me on Twitter. Go ahead. I'm open to you can just send me a private message and we'll be more than happy to talk back and forth or refollow me on Twitter to get that conversation going. But back to Aaron Donald, okay, if you have an opportunity to go out there and make millions of dollars and you're physically able to do it. And I preface the word physically able to do it. You do it, but you don't hang on too long where it becomes a point where you don't enjoy your post-retirement. That's all. But yeah, I mean, but to answer the question, Micah Parsons is one of Jerry Jones' better picks. I can't criticize Jones for making a good pick, even though he's made a lot of bad ones. And, Aaron Donald is just a heck of a player. And I could see him one day having a bust in Canton, Ohio for the Hall of Fame.
All right, so we got mixed. We got mixed. We got some in the chat saying Parsons. We got some saying Aaron Donald. But either choice right now, is no wrong answer in my opinion. Um, so moving on to the next one. So we all know Billy Zappi. He came in third stringer, for Western Kentucky, and then Brian Hoyer. Mac Jones gets hurt, and then Brian Hoyer's in the game. Brian Hoyer gets hurt. So the question is, how can New England stay competitive with Bailey Zappi if Brian Hoyer and Daniel Jones, Mac Jones remain out?
Well, I'll say this on Inside the Pigskin last night, South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. I said that Bailey Zappi is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in this draft class. I saw what he did at Western Kentucky. He throws for 62 touchdowns last year, close to 6,000 yards. Has over 14,000 yards in his career. Bill Belichick knows how to find hidden gems. Ever heard of Tom Brady? Guess what? He was pretty good. So I don't think the Patriots are going to have a problem. The only problem that they may have in this situation is Bill Belichick needs to call the plays, and I don't want to hear anything about Matt Patricia, as one of my colleagues says, okay, or Joe Judge. I mean, these two are liabilities. This is going to blow up in Belichick's face all day long. There is no problem with Bailey Zappi. I hope you New England fans that are tuning in here, you got a diamond in the rough here. And if Mac Jones, depending on his situation, you can end up trading Bailey Zappi and getting a good return for a middle round pick, but Bill Belichick isn't that stupid. You know why? Because once upon a time, the Washington Redskins at that time drafted RG3, and then they also decided to take Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins had a much longer, more productive career than RG3. So it's not uncommon for a team to take two quarterbacks, to me, in the same draft, and maybe the one later on turns out. So to me, Bill, you've got to assume the play calling. It'll be an interesting game this week when the Patriots take on the Detroit Lions, a team that can't play any defense. Dan Campbell against Matt Patricia, his predecessor. Okay, and the dynamics just are an intriguing game there. But I think Bailey Zappi is going to be fine, and Bill Belichick has to get more in the offense and let Patricia and Judge do what they do. I think Bailey Zappi will be fine.
Dante?
Scott, Keith, everybody during the draft process, me and my boy Eric, ECG, we covered Bailey Zappi. We thought he was going to be an interesting prospect coming out of a JUCO school and going right into Western Kentucky and being as good as he was, setting records. The only record better than him was Joe Burrow, the national championship year. And Bailey Zappi set that record. And I think this guy's going to be good when he gets some time. He didn't do bad his first preseason game. Not first preseason game, but first game. 10 for 15, 99 yards on less time. He had a touchdown. Was a beautiful touchdown on the sideline for Bailey Zappi. So he got potential. They got to run the football, control time of possession with Stevenson and Harrison. And it's going to come down to their defense if they want to stay competitive. And you got to decide out of Joe Judge and Matt Patricia who's going to be the offensive. I'd rather go on the sideline and call plays if they let me call plays better than them. But like I said again, if I was Bill Belichick, I'll take the play caller. I'll take on the play calling duty because Matt Patricia and Joe Judge are horrible play callers or just stink at play calling. But I think Bailey Zappi, you got a bright future with Bailey Zappi, man. So I think for them to win, they got defense got to be good, and they got to control time of possession with the run game. And Bailey Zappi can get the ball to these receivers. This guy got a cannon of an arm. He's got a great arm, and he's very accurate with the football. So again, I think Bailey Zappi is going to be pretty solid if you can keep him upright.
Yeah, next year though, the Patriots will have an offensive coordinator. I don't care about this debacle that they call a two-headed monster, and they're a two-headed monster for all the wrong reasons, okay? But I do believe in 2023, Bill Belichick will have an offensive coordinator. He sees how badly this is working out. Even though he had Josh McDaniels, who ended up going to the Raiders, doesn't matter. You need an offensive coordinator. And what Bill is doing is out thinking himself, thinking he can bring in two of his old cronies to try to handle that part of the ball. But to me, yeah, I don't – and you know what? M85, what does Matt Patricia do exactly? I'll tell you what, when I can figure it out, we can both get retirement money, and then we can retire out in Hawaii. I haven't quite figured it out either. So I'll tell you what, M85, when you let me know, okay, I'll let you know. But yeah, besides grow a mean beard, okay, it is what it is. But I'm not sure. I don't have an answer. I don't pretend to know everything. I try to do the best I can to give it to you straight. So, but next year, Bill Belichick will have an offensive coordinator, and hopefully he won't ruin the next franchise quarterback if he saves himself in time.
Yeah, I don't know what Matt Patricia's role is. Like he was defensive coordinator at one point when he left and came back, went to the Detroit Lions, messed them over, screwed them over. Now he's back as an OC. It definitely
Yeah,
don't.
Matt Patricia is right now there to get health insurance. Okay, so if he, to me, he'll get and the Crafts will pay for it. So other than that, he's just another sounding board for Bill Belichick. But you know what? M85 deal, no problem, pal. I'm not that smart, okay, to figure out what Matt Patricia is. He wrecked the Detroit Lions when they should have kept Jim Caldwell in the first place, and why Bob Quinn brought him on when he had a team that went to the playoffs. Another story. Then again, Bob Quinn is with the Cleveland Browns doing something. Okay, I don't know. Move on. I've said enough on this topic.
All right, so Patrick, we all seen how Patrick Mahomes is right now. Not doing pretty bad, but without the record, only lost one game right now. So the question is, has Mahomes changed his game without Tyreek Hill? Who wants to go?
All right, well, I'll go ahead with it. I don't mind being the lead dog on this one. All I can say is Patrick Mahomes is just getting smarter. That's all. Doesn't matter. He has Tyreek Hill, big deal. So what? Andy Reid teams, Eric Bieniemy, they're not wrong. Hey, listen, teams lose star players all the time, and end up bringing in some veteran reinforcements. Maybe not as big a names. What do you have? Juju Smith-Schuster on that team, and then they bring in the guy from Green Bay, Valdez Scantling, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you brought those two guys in, and Patrick Mahomes will work with the other people. And if Travis Kelce can continue to play solid football, there's no problem. But I think to give you the short answer, Patrick Mahomes is getting smarter, and I still believe, as I mentioned earlier, that the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in that division. So I'm not backing off of that at all.
Dante?
I think Patrick Mahomes still is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, everybody made mistakes. Everybody throw interceptions. I mean, and the guy still can win games. He still can. Like I said, if there's anything that's proven that he can do better with Tyreek Hill, without Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill can do better without him. I mean, they're just two great stars in our league. That don't need their respective quarterback. Respect the quarterback to be very good, and I believe our respect the receiver to be very good. So again, I think he's still Patrick Mahomes. He was phenomenal against Tampa Bay. Phenomenal against the Arizona Cardinals. He was not that great against the Indianapolis Colts, besides the one tip interception that he did have that the receiver should have probably caught. I think he's still the same Patrick Mahomes. So other than that, he's Patrick Mahomes without Tyreek Hill. So hey, he was playing good anyway. So I don't think he kind of changed. Not in my eyes, I don't think he is.
Yeah, I like Patrick Mahomes. Smart kid, very level-headed kid. $500 million. Maybe he can help the Kansas City Royals managerial search because they got rid of Mike Matheny. Don't worry, coach. I couldn't let you down without bringing any kind of a baseball reference into the show. But I like Patrick Mahomes, very even-keeled kid. More importantly, though, he spent a year learning under Alex Smith, which is what I think the model should be for all teams to go ahead, no matter how good your quarterback is, let him sit for a year and then be able to learn, follow the clipboard, watch tape, and so forth. So I'm not a fan of anybody because I'm a writer and and a broadcaster, so I'm taught to be neutral. But if I had to tell you that I have a boatload of respect, for Patrick Mahomes, I'll go there. But no, I am not a fan. I'm a member of the media, sports media. I'm proud of it.
All right. So Patrick Mahomes don't need to change his game around a Tyreek Hill. Mahomes is playing better than Carr. Mahomes is going to always play better than Derek Carr, Damien. That's not a relevant factor. I need you to come up with something better than that.
What are you talking about?
Damien in the comments. Don't mind Damien. He's just a blasphemous fan.
Okay, no problem.
So whatever you see him right, don't even respond and pay attention to it.
I'll leave it to you. I'm only drinking my Powerade. You want to get them a sponsor? I'll stick their bottle up. Other than that, it is what it is.
All right, so we've seen, the Jaguars, they come in, got a new coach, get players, draft pretty well. So far, what has been the key for Trevor Lawrence to this good start he's having so far? What's been the key?
I'll give you 2 words. Ready? Probably this is a very difficult Harvard question, by the way. My goodness. Forget about what happened with Urban Meyer last year. It never happened. You get a mulligan. In golf, you get mulligans. But you know what? You got a paycheck and you get a mulligan. Good enough. That's all you need to know. Doug Peterson, obviously, to me, went out there and won as a player, Super Bowl title, and he went out there and won a championship as a coach. That's the best thing to happen. Trevor Lawrence can be great, and Doug Peterson's going to be the reason why.
Hold on, Dante, before you go. Damien, we not starting this mess. I already gave you facts this morning to your logic nonsense. So we not going to do this morning with you. Dante, go ahead.
Hey, everybody, don't pay attention to Damien in the comment section. He can ask you a question, and you can respond to that question. You can how to answer. But when it's a hard question for him, you cannot answer. ECG still haven't answered my question yet. He still haven't answered my question yet that I asked him. He continues to run. Damien is going to be a guy that's going to run. He's going to run from a question. He would love to ask a question. So he still haven't answered my question. I get him. But other than that, you said the question was why is Trevor Lawrence having so much success, right?
Yeah, the good start right now, correct.
Doug Peterson. I think Doug Peterson put him in some situations where he can succeed. He do got a consummate and receiver in Christian Kirk as well that's helping him out. But Doug Peterson came in, changed the franchise, changed the organization. Now they're more competitive. Also, the defense is playing very good too. Give credit to that defense; they're playing hard out there on the defensive side. But I got to go to Doug Peterson for Trevor Lawrence's success right now, man. He keeping his turnovers down, making some plays out there on the field. But like I say, I still got to hold out on Trevor Lawrence. Not going to say he's going to be a great quarterback yet. He's still going to go through some growing pains, but I'm just not ready to say he's also a bust. I'm just on the in and out with this guy. Well,
I'm going to tell you, though, Coach, I'll tell it to you straight. He will definitely not be a bust, and he's going to be an excellent quarterback for a long time in this league. As long as you have stability with the head coach and the offensive coordinator and suitable targets, you're going to be fine. I do believe in my mind that Doug Peterson is the difference, and I think that I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Trevor Lawrence is going to have a bust in Canton, Ohio, but he's going to have an excellent career for an organization, and he'll have a statue outside of TIAA Bank Field, way down the road if he has any kind of success, let alone get him to a Super Bowl. Let's not think ahead of ourselves with Super Bowls right now, but when you have a coach, okay, remember one thing about the Jacksonville job. But they were interviewing Byron Leftwich for it, and he did not want to work with Trent Baalke. Here's a guy here. Okay, we're talking about minority hirings being off, but you had a minority potential hire who was actually liked out in Jacksonville, didn't want the job because he didn't want to work with Trent Baalke. And Shad Khan said, okay, no problem. They revisit the Doug Peterson situation. How has that worked out? I would say pretty good. Byron Leftwich cost him an opportunity to be a head man in a city that he's comfortable with, to work with an up-and-coming quarterback. And as a result, he turned it down. You don't turn down potential head coaching jobs if they're there, let alone as a minority candidate. At least take a serious look at it. I realize that. But as it turns out, things worked out well in Jacksonville with Peterson, and you have a sense of stability there between Peterson, a culture change, and Lawrence. And I can tell you right now, I was at that Indianapolis game when they lost to Jacksonville and cost the Colts a chance to get in there. And I'm going to tell you one thing, the relief on those players in that Jacksonville conference room was unbelievable that Meyer was gone. Darrell Bevel did a decent job holding down the fort when he was there, but they landed on Doug Peterson. It took them a while to land, but they did really well.
And that's one more key thing I got to say, Key. And what Chris Hackett said, I like Robinson. They finally using the right. That's something that Urban Meyer did not do last year. Did not use Robinson, right? James Robinson, right? But I actually think he's an underrated running back in this league. When he carries the football, the guy could be a very nice running back. So I'm very high on Robinson. So I definitely agree with that. Now, Doug Peterson putting him in situations where he's giving him the ball, and that's taking a lot of stress off Trevor Lawrence's arm as also when you can run the ball with Robinson like they did. So I definitely agree with that. I thought they stopped using them last year. Urban Meyer did not use them. Now Doug Peterson is using them a lot more, and which he should be using them a lot.
Well, let me tell you this. When I was growing up as a kid, the draft was like 15 rounds or so. You didn't have undrafted free agents. Let me tell you, those undrafted free agents, if you can get them, and they end up making more money than the later round picks because there's such a demand for them. But I can tell you right now, a lot of undrafted free agents turn out to be bona fide NFL players, and I've seen it throughout my lifetime. There was a time when they had 6 to 8 preseason games a year, 15 to 20 draft choices, and now they pared it down to the existing situation. So hidden gems go beyond draft choices, and the undrafted guys end up getting more bonus money as a result, and they're the ones that turn out well. You want to debate me on this one? Brandon Powell hung out with the Detroit Lions and subsequently wound up with the LA Rams with Matthew Stafford, and he's a kid out of Deerfield Beach, Florida, and he ended up winning a world championship ring with them. And I talked to him during my media availability at the Super Bowl last year. So don't count out undrafted free agents. They're hungry, and Robinson is just one of many examples of that.
Yeah, most definitely. But no, definitely like where Jacksonville's coming around. Don't of course the first year of Doug Peterson, we all know, the Jags may not excuse me, make it to the playoffs, but you definitely see some improvement and some turnaround with that organization. And
Listen,
plus,
Key, if the Jacksonville Jaguars, Key, win 8 or 9 games, they're going to feel really good about their projection. And nobody will ever fault Shad Khan for being not a patient owner. He is. Maybe some of the choices in recent years haven't been good. He's a very patient owner, shrewd businessman. And if they win 8 games this year, they're going to be thrilled. And they're off to a decent start. We'll see how the year goes on.
Before I finish my statement, Doug Peterson is a quarterback himself. He was a quarterback's coach, so he definitely knows what to do with young quarterbacks. Right. I.e., look with Carson Wentz. I know not the best of examples, but when he was there, look at Jalen Hurts' situation. He was with Mahomes, well, not Mahomes. He was with Kansas City. He was with Green Bay. So he obviously has some skill in with the quarterback and in how the quarterback should look. So Doug Peterson is the right man for the job for Trevor Lawrence to see some success. So we'll definitely see it when it comes. Hopefully, he'll be successful long term. You never know. So,
M85, if you're referring to my statement about Byron Leftwich, when the job came up, you should take it. You really should get a hold of me because you fall into the GMTA situation. Great minds think alike, M85. Good stuff, buddy.
All right. So with that being said, Trevor Lawrence situation is out the way. Keep losing my list. All right. So Dante, this is in your neck of the woods because you are a diehard Texans fan, but the Texans are the favorites right now to land that number 1 spot yet again in the 2023 draft. Who do you take? Would you get a quarterback? Would you get a running back? Who would you pick? Knowing how the quarterback class is going to be coming up next draft.
Plead the fifth. It's only week 4. The only reason this topic has come up because we're the only winless team in the NFL. Plead the fifth. When the draft process come up and when it's late during the season, then that's when the answer is going to come out. Actually, that's when the answer is going to come out. But I know we're 0-3-1, but again, I'm going to answer it late during the season. If we're still having the worst record in the NFL. The only reason this conversation has come up because we're the only winless team. But if you look at those losses, we were in every single ball game with a chance to win. So I'll plead the fifth on this one. I will wait and see if we will have the worst record by the end of the season, and then that question will be answered. What if we're going to need a quarterback or something else?
All right, let me go back to some East Coast gridiron. I like interacting with people that chat with us because they definitely get my wheels turning. Number one, East Coast, knowing that I'm a little closer to the situation than you are, okay? Byron Leftwich was not a hot commodity, I'll give you that, but he was highly sought after by the Jaguars, a place where he has a reputation, and they thought he might be a good match. And he was also working with Tom Brady, and they took all that into consideration. So was he a hot commodity elsewhere? No, but there was mutual warm interest with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I just want to make sure you understand that and make sure that that's understood. Now, to answer the existing question, okay, I think the Texans, and they're giving Davis Mills, I think their starting quarterback, a fair opportunity to see if he can earn the job, okay? And the way I look at it is you're getting a full season to find out what you have. Now, here's the thing that people have to understand. They got a lot of draft capital, okay, in the Deshaun Watson trade. So you can find good players throughout that draft because of that draft capital. I would think that if the quarterback class is as good as it is, if I were the Texans, I might want to go in that direction. I really might, and you want to pick up a running back. But the two key words here is draft capital. And they have a chance to get better very quickly. The only thing I never liked about what the Texans did was they let David Culley go prematurely. That guy got a raw deal. Bringing in Lovie Smith, a proven guy, a very stabilizing guy, I have no problem with the hire, but I didn't like what happened with David Culley. But to make a long story short, okay, if a good premium quarterback, top prospect, doesn't have to be Bryce Young, could be anybody else that's high on your board, is available, and you're the number one pick, I do believe you go after them. And then try to address the running back position as well as some of the other. Depends how many draft choices that they have all year. But running back, as well as the top-tier quarterback, I definitely believe that the Texans can use that.
So you like, okay, so Dante not being, so just you don't know who you would take. Just, I know you said you can't do it right now, but if you could take someone, who would you take?
If I could take someone, I just got to look at how the season play out. I just got to look at how the season play out to honestly see who would I take. If I would know if it's Davis Mills or we need defensive line, we need defensive line help. I just got to literally wait till the season plays out. There's no point of interest of see who would I take right now. I just got to wait till the season plays out. Davis Mills right now, you can say he hasn't made the plays. He hasn't made the plays he's supposed to make, which he struggled in 5 immunity games, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. 2 of the interceptions were tipped. The defensive line has not been very good. So right now, if you want to go off the quarterback and the defensive line, you could definitely do that. But to me, like, it's kind of too early for me. I got to wait till the end of the season to evaluate that. So there's going to be some quarterbacks coming up out of this draft that, you know, I might feel comfortable with the Texans taking, but, you know, we never know what route they're going to go in. We can need help on the defensive line. We do need a running back. I can tell we're going to need a running back number 2. We're going to need a running back number 2. So I can tell by that because Damian Pierce is doing all he could we don't got a great offensive line. Davis Mills can be fine in certain situations, but like I said, when you need a big play for him, Davis Mills has not stepped up and made that big play this year. So it's getting kind of iffy for Davis Mills, but he shows the talent to make those potential big time throws. He's just not made them this year, but I got to wait to the end of the season to do my judgment again, what I will officially go with.
Well, yeah, Davis Mills is getting a 17-game audition to prove he's a starting quarterback in the league. What more do you want? And East Coast Gridiron, I really like talking to you, okay? The Jacksonville Jaguars interviewed Doug Peterson early and wound up with him. Enough said. That's where they started with him. Enough said, period. East Coast Gridiron, graduate to something else other than Byron Leftwich. I know David Garrard was a good quarterback. I've been following that franchise for a lot of years, and I know a lot of people. So I think you need to graduate East Coast Gridiron somewhere else. You really do. They started with the guy, and they ended up with him, period.
I didn't say draft the running back in the first round. I said draft the running. We need to draft the running back number 2, not in the first round. If it's the first round, it's the first round. I say, but I didn't say draft the running back in the first round. We can draft the running back anywhere in the draft. We just need to. I just figured we need a running back number 2 because Rex Burkhead it's not the answer long term. And I think we got Damian Pierce, who's doing pretty well, who's on pace for 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns so far. And he's looking really good. He is statistically right now top 10 running back in the NFL. Not saying he's a top 10 running back. That's what he is right now, a top 10 back right now.
Hey, Coach Dante, let me ask you a question, okay? I remember with the Buffalo Bills when they were drafting running backs. Joe Cribbs was a second-round pick out of Auburn, and they also drafted, I think, Thurman Thomas was in the 2nd or 3rd round. So you don't have to have an elite running back in the 1st round. You don't. It's proven that running backs, to me, can go out there and be drafted 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and they turn out well. And I'll tell you, if that isn't good enough, okay, go to Denver where they used to draft running backs later in rounds, and they got him to fit in. Terrell Davis, remember him? He was pretty good, and the list goes on and on. So nobody has to draft a running back in the 1st round at all. I agree with you all the way, Coach. I really do.
Damian Pierce was a 3rd-round pick. Damian Pierce was a 3rd-round pick, and And Damian Pierce, the reason why Marlon Mack ain't on the team right now.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I'm with you all the way, Coach. I'm agreeing with you all the way. You don't need a running back in the first round to think you hit a home run. Barry Sanders don't grow on trees. Billy Sims don't grow on trees. Emmett Smith don't grow on trees. Okay, those guys don't. But if you have, I mean, look what Saquon Barkley with the Giants. They drafted him high, and he's struggling to stay on the field. So, the reality is, I think the Giants, they could have 5 productive years out of Saquon Barkley. To me, who knows how much better things have been. I'm not getting into Daniel Jones conversation, but you can find a running back a lot of different places. You really can. What do you have, 130 some odd Division I schools? And what about Walter Payton? Everybody heard that he played at Jackson State many years ago. You can find running backs at any level. Doesn't matter where. It doesn't have to be in the first round. So, Coach, I'm agreeing with you thoroughly, 100%. Get a quarterback first, deal with the running back later.
All right, so I know this isn't on the list, but it just came out, the video of Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, and you clearly see that Draymond Green, I don't know what was said, but you clearly see him go over there and punch the living daylights out of Jordan Poole. Now, I already saw that they weren't going to suspend him, but with this footage now coming out, is it possible that Draymond can get disciplinary actions put on him, or are they just going to let it leave it in house and let the Warriors take over? Do you think the league will step in now that this video's out?
No way. No way. In my opinion, what's going to happen to Draymond Green? He's going to get a little fine there, and he'll be able to donate it to charity. Leave it alone. The guy's an emotional guy. Let's face it, really. I know you weren't on, Coach, yesterday when Gene and I were talking about. He's an emotional. He has his own podcast. He's a heart of that franchise. He's a pulse of it. Steph Curry may be the best player on that team, and they have a lot of other guys. But this guy here, to me, I have no problem with him. All right, so you have a competitive mishap or whatever they have going on. I think the Warriors should handle it internally. I think they do. The NBA's not going to do anything to him. Leave him alone. Let's graduate to something else.
Dante, what you think?
I mean, I played basketball. I never played football, but like I say, the reason why I'm always talking about, and I'm a smart guy in football because I've been around the game for a long time, and I've been around my uncle through all my life, and he used to take me out and watch film all the time. So that's the reason why I do football and do every other sports, and I'm coach football, and I got to thank my uncle for that. But me as being a basketball player, you have that all the time. Even in football, you have guys punch each other, fight because they want to be competitive. You're going to have a guy like that. That's an emotional leader that want everything done right in the organization, that won't have nobody having a feel of itself. Hey, this is not how we do it out here. We're going to do it the Warrior way, and this is the Warrior way. We're going to keep doing it. So I don't take one bit at this at all. It's wrong from punching a guy, but again, I trust the Warriors to handle this situation. They're going to do nothing, give them probably a fine. I don't think they're going to even give them a suspension for the team. Will not hurt at all, as long as they handle it internally, and that's what it's going to be. But you get those blow-ups all the time. But if it's in a locker room, practice, you get that all the time because people are competitive and stuff like that. And that's what Draymond Green is. I say he's the Marcus Smart of the Boston Celtics. But Draymond Green is worse. He's worse than that. And if you're not putting it all in on the court, and if you're feeling yourself, you're going to hear it for Draymond Green. You're going to hear it. And he's going to let you know about it. He's not going to be one of those guys that are afraid to tell you how he feels. So it's just Draymond Green being Draymond Green. I'm pretty sure they're going to talk it out. They're going to talk it out like men. They're going to apologize, and which Draymond Green already did apologize, but they're going to handle it. I trust Steve Kerr and the Warriors to handle this.
Yeah, I love the comparison with Marcus Smart. I really like that's pretty good, actually. Yeah, you know what's going to happen, Coach? They're going to talk it out. Draymond's going to blow up again. They'll talk it out. And then he's going to blow up again. They're going to talk it out. And before long, by the end of the year, they're going to win 60, 70 games anyways. Big deal. I can say my voice on a lot of subjects, but I do have the right to agree with you, especially with that analogy. They're going to talk. Then listen, I've been part of a couple different areas of basketball. My issue with a lot of you guys is you're way younger than I am, and they don't see it my way because they didn't live it. I have. I mean, nothing against you guys personally, but I've seen it both ways. Emotional. You remember, I don't care if you're in the NFL, the NBA, or whatever. Okay, here's the situation. Everybody's competing for a job. You know that thing called paycheck? Okay, we're not like Latrell Sprewell where you don't have enough money to feed our family, only to go bankrupt years ago. Okay, now they're getting paid a little bit more money, and he was complaining about what he earned. Reality is, he'll talk it out. He'll get maybe a little fine. He'll talk it out, get a little fine. Like Marshawn Lynch, he made a living out of himself. I'm not talking to the media or I'll get fined. And you know what? He made a lot of money because of his off the field stuff. So Draymond Green will be fine if he's at Golden State or wherever he winds up next year or thereafter. I like you, Draymond. You're okay in my book. I don't like Michigan State, but I like, if you were at Michigan, I'd like you even more. But that's, sorry, Spartan fans. Although I'm wearing the University of Miami hat, you'll understand why shortly.
Then. So again, I know this wasn't on the list, and it's funny because I wrote it down, but just ain't write it to y'all. Basketball. We know we got the G League, and we got the guy. What the heck's his name? Walter Walla Biemba. I think I said that right. To me, he reminds me of a Chet Holmgren 2.0. Same body type, tall, slender guy. Not sure if y'all seen him play, but could he possibly be a superstar in the NBA?
What was your question again? I'm sorry.
The kid Walter. Not sure if I'm
It's
saying
called his name. I know his first name,
like
Victor.
Walla Biemba or something like that.
Yeah,
Victor Walla.
I know who you talk. He
In the
plays
G
kind of
League,
overseas.
you
I
know,
know.
he's from France.
Yeah,
But he's 7'3", can shoot the three. He reminds me a lot of Chet Holmgren, a lot, just with his body type and everything. My question is, can he play in the NBA?
I'll take the fifth. I have nothing to say until I see more.
I he can play in the NBA. I think he can play in the NBA with his shooting. If you can shoot, you're gonna last a long time in the NBA. If you can shoot the ball, if you can stretch guys outside, you're gonna have a long time. You're gonna spend a long time in the NBA. And this guy can shoot off. He can dribble, make it create his own play. He can come off screens and shoot. He can fall out of bounds and shoot the basketball. He's got an 8 foot wingspan, I believe. He's very tall. But the problem is the same problem that I was going to have with Chet Holmgren. Is his body good enough to go for a full 82 game seasons? Can he take the beat downs in the paint, the bumps in the chest? Can he do that? That's going to be my only problem with him. But I think he's going to be able to play in the league, man. 7'4", he'll be able to shoot over a lot of people, and he can stretch outside and shoot it, and he can put the ball on the floor. I think he's going to be better play. I think he's going to be good. But to say a superstar, I don't know about the superstar quite yet. But I want to say he can play in the NBA.
Alrighty. So I just had to get that out there because he was playing very well so far. They're projecting him to be number one or number two overall in next year's NBA draft. So I did have to get that out the way. I know we did talk about the postseason baseball yesterday, so we're going to get down into it. It is Friday. College football is on tomorrow, so we're going to get into the college football portion of the show here.
Well, did you want to get to the NFC North thing that you had listed in the outline?
Oh yeah, I did have that. So who's winning NFC North?
I'll make my answer brief. If the Cincinnati Bengals continue to play well, then I'll definitely give them the nod to win the AFC North. They're looking pretty good. Just protect Joe Burrow, get the ball to Jamar Chase, get Joe Mixon, and I'll just go out there and say the Bengals and leave it right at that.
Who you got, Dante?
Same answer. I had the Bengals in the all season, and I'm gonna stick with the Bengals. I think they're getting very good. They're getting hot. They beat Miami. They beat Miami when that was a big game that they needed to win. They did beat the Jets. That was a big game that they needed to win. So again, now they got another big game in Baltimore. Let's see, can they go out and win that? They got to keep Joe Burrow upright, continue to run the football, and find Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has not really been showing up lately, but Joe Burrow's got to find a way to get him the football. So again, they do that. They should be fine. I think Cincinnati should be fine. The defense is competitive enough to keep them in a lot of games. So I think they're going to win this division. With Pittsburgh is not doing so good right now. What you got in Baltimore has lost two straight. I'm giving the upper hand to Cincinnati right now. Cleveland is losing games. They lost games to the Jets and the Falcons. Both of the teams that they should have been. They should have been technically 4-0, but again, this division has been so inconsistent. I'm still giving it to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Alrighty. So again, we are in week 6 here in college football, and nothing really changed on the AP top 25 except Alabama went up to number 1 and Georgia dropped to number 2. 2 spots up, Oklahoma State moved up. Ole Miss moved up 5. They're number 9. But who dropped 6 spots is Kentucky. They're at 13. NC State dropped 4 to being 14. And Washington dropped 6 all the way down to 21. Kansas State went all the way up to 5. And we got some teams on here who hasn't who haven't been ranked or anything are now on the list. LSU, Cincinnati, Syracuse, Kansas State is now ranked now, UCLA and those type of teams. So who has some upsets this week?
It took me longer to prepare for these upsets than any other part of this show this week because I had to look at these games very thoroughly. When I prepare for these shows, they're a little easier, but this one took a while. So here's where I'm going to go. I don't have any Appalachian States up my bag of tricks or things like that. Marshall's up my bag of tricks. That would make it easy for me to look smart on Monday. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll give you my 5, and then, Coach, you can chime in if you want to after that, okay? I'm actually going to go with UCLA to beat Utah. These two teams won't be facing each other many times after UCLA joins the Big Ten, but I like what Chip Kelly's doing at UCLA. I really do. I think UCLA is playing better football. The second one, you know what? I am listening to all you guys and every stupid show I go on. Bash my Miami Hurricanes. I really, truly got pick and hate it. I do. Middle Tennessee State to me is like a bad meal that I had that I cooked poorly. Thank God my wife Candy does all the cooking and all I do is all the eating. Don't know if that's necessarily good because I'm eating too much because she's that good of a cook. But the Canes are unranked and North Carolina is 4-0. Miami's 2-2. But here's why I'm going with the Canes over North Carolina. They've had 2 weeks to think about that Middle Tennessee loss. They really have. And they're sick and tired of hearing it, that they're not a good football team. I think the Miami Hurricanes are going to come with an edge, and I do have a feeling they'll beat North Carolina tomorrow. The third game I have would be Iowa State, 3-2 over Kansas State. I know they're 4-1, and Kansas State's ranked 20th. It's just a gut feeling. I have Matt Campbell's a good coach. You never know. He could be a guy that could be looking at a much better position later on. I believe one of the last questions is of these Power 5 jobs, which is the best. Now you could see Matt Campbell's name being brought up and feel he's maxed his way out. Now I'll throw a curveball. I went against Notre Dame a while back. I actually have a gut feeling that Notre Dame is going to beat BYU. The Irish are 2-2. I believe BYU is 4-1 for some crazy reason. Okay. Marcus Freeman, right? I think at some point he figures it out. And I'm not sure a lot about Brigham Young yet. I know they're actually going to be moving to the Big 12 real soon. Well, so I'm going to go with the Irish on this. It's not a confident pick for those individuals that want to try to rub it into me because I'm not. But I had to pick 5 games of this group, and there are other weeks where it's been easier to pinpoint 5. But I'm going to go Notre Dame to knock off BYU. And then the last one, which nobody will even think in their right mind, I say that East Carolina is going to beat Tulane. East Carolina is 3-2 against Tulane, 4-1. 5 interesting games. Digest them any way you want to.
I'll tell you who you got.
Of course, I gotta have upset picks, and I'm gonna go bold up on these. So Scott got one of my picks on here. So my first pick, I got LSU beating Tennessee at Tennessee. Top 25 team. I think Tennessee stretch run about to come to an end because they're gonna play. They gotta see LSU. They gotta see Alabama again. They got Kentucky coming up, so they got a huge back end of the schedule that they got to clear out. So again, I got LSU going into Tennessee. I'm not saying they're gonna win the game, but I'm just saying it's an upset pick. If I have to choose an upset pick, this would be an upset pick. Another one, Scott just put it out there for me. The Big 12 is really, really tough. You can't get comfortable in the Big 12. Iowa State beating Kansas State. Iowa State beating Kansas State. So I got Iowa State winning. Another one. I almost had this right a couple of weeks ago. They blew the game for me. But Washington State going into USC and beating USC. Washington State 4-1, USC USC, I think, is 5-0 at this point, but Washington State almost beat Oregon. Again. Oregon took a Bo Nix phenomenal game to come down and beat them. But Washington State is a pretty competitive football team. And last but not least, I got the Florida State Seminoles beating NC State on the road. So these are my upset picks that I got down.
Coach, you know what? I really thought hard about that Washington State USC game, excuse me. But the reason why I didn't go in that direction, I like what Lincoln Riley's doing.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't put that. Don't think in a million years I didn't think hard about that. Because especially after what you did to me the one time when Michigan State lost to, what was it?
Washington. They got blown out by Washington. Yeah.
I know. Hey, listen, I'm not afraid to tell you that if you did give credit where it's due, you do. I wasn't sure about that one. I gave the Spartans the benefit of the doubt, and they're not looking that great. But I thought hard, okay, I really did, about the Washington State USC, but it's just hard for me to go against Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, it is.
Team that might as well enjoy their last couple of years in the Pac-12 because they're going to the Big Ten. And I can't wait to see USC and UCLA play Columbus and Ann Arbor when it's awfully cold. There's no palm trees there. There's snow blowers. And
the only reason I
at 7-Eleven. The ice is on the field.
Hey, Scott, the only reason I kind of picked USC to lose, probably to get upset, because they shown some vulnerability to get beat. They lost a close one to Oregon State, which is Oregon State should have won the football game. So they have shown some stability to be they got away with some wins this year. They have got away.
I told you I wasn't disagreeing with you. I told you I was on the fence. I told you I was on the fence about it, but I chose to go the 5 I did because this is a tough week for me to pick these stupid things. I couldn't find enough games. I had to make chicken feathers out of what we had to work with this week. That's what I did. And I had to give my Canes a little respect because I live here and I know everything that we talked about. Now, this is going to be a pretty interesting. If we thought this past 2 weeks was bad, what's going to go on later on if they lose to North Carolina? So, I'll say whatever I've got to say, but I'm going with the U anyways. And for all you guys that want to hammer me next week, I can handle it. I've been dealing it for a long time, longer than many of you guys have been born anyway. So it doesn't matter.
And most of these teams, 3 of these teams, I believe, got to go on the road. They got to go on the road to win.
Yeah, I mean, the group we had to work with, Coach, was a pretty rough group of games.
Yeah,
I hated this group of games that we had, Key, but I understand it's our segment that we do every Friday. I get it, but it doesn't mean I got to work a little harder to find up 5 that's halfway decent. I gave you the best of what I could, Key. I hope you can handle it, buddy.
All right, so we spoke about Tennessee. They're off to a nice little start, but can Tennessee end another drought?
I don't think this week. I don't know if Brian Kelly's got his Southern twang down, but the Tigers are playing better football. I like what Josh Heupel's doing up there. I think Tennessee's on the right track, but you know what? I still give LSU the edge in this football game.
Dante?
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that they can't beat LSU. I definitely think they can. They're at home. That's going to give them that's going to kind of give them an edge because they're at home in front of that home crowd. But again, I'm going with LSU as the upset pick this week. But then you look at their schedule. Coming down the stretch. Alabama. They got Alabama at home. Alabama can easily beat them. And Alabama shows some stability to get beat as well. They show some vulnerability as well. A lot of it throughout the season where they should have lost to Texas by Longhorns. They should have lost that game. Arkansas got hot late, but then again, Jalen Miro, matter of fact, that's a guy quarterback from Houston, came in, did one heck of a job for Bryce Young. They beat him on a run game. After that, you have a scrimmage game after Alabama. You have a scrimmage game against UT Martin. You have a scrimmage. That's pretty much a scrimmage game you got to go with. After that, you play Kentucky at home. Kentucky, that's going to be a hard game to win right there. But then you go to Georgia. You got to go to Georgia. So you play Missouri. You should beat Missouri. You play South Carolina Spencer Rattler is not a good quarterback. He's Bonds. Then you got Vanderbilt. So you're gonna close out the strict season strong. But the games that I think that will lose, I think they will lose to Alabama. I think they're gonna lose to Georgia. And as a possibility, they can lose. They're gonna lose to LSU at home, at LSU home field, and there's a possibility they can lose to Kentucky. So again, rest of these games hard, but the back end of their schedule is pretty easy. It's pretty much a scrimmage games pretty much. But I don't think they will make the college football playoff.
Yeah, let me point out something about Notre Dame and LSU. What Brian Kelly traded when he went from one spot to another, the academics of Notre Dame for the athleticism of LSU. Not a bad thing, obviously. He proved at Notre Dame he couldn't beat the SEC schools when he got to the college football playoff. Anyways, so the reality is now he's in a situation where we're going to find out what kind of a coach Brian Kelly really is. Instead of a 4-point grade point average, you're looking at a guy that probably runs the 40-yard dash and such a speed. So that's what he really traded. So I don't know. I'm anxious to see how Brian Kelly does at the SEC. And I think, again, Tennessee's come a long way. This program has made strides in the last 2, 3, 4 years. I think they haven't been relevant since Butch Jones left, is what they haven't. So now, Josh Heupel's there. He's certainly a good offensive-minded coach, and I like the direction the Volunteers are having. But LSU, to me, right now appears I have to lean toward the Tigers anyways, and we'll see how it goes. But Tennessee, watch out. The Volunteers have a lot to look forward to. And, again, nothing like Brian Kelly. Take the money in the challenge and hope you don't get run out of town after you win like Ed Orgeron did, even though he got a big, fat contract of, 8 or 10 years paying a lot of money. If he never coaches again, I think Brian Kelly would be fine. He could retire wherever he wants. I would recommend Hawaii as long as you don't get nailed with hurricanes, typhoons, or whatever you call them. I love Hawaii, by the way, as if you can hardly tell, even though I live in the tropics. Love it here, too.
All right. Well, Dante, your guy comes back this week. Quentin Ewers is back. Does Texas now have a chance to beat Oklahoma?
Absolutely. The way Oklahoma gave up 600 yards over TCU, absolutely. I think we got a shot. Xavier Worthy stepping up. Roshan Johnson is really good out of the backfield. You got Bijan Robinson, who's just a stud and hard to tackle. There's defense led by Overshown and Jameson at the cornerback position. Absolutely. Quentin Ewers coming back. You can make an argument they would have beat Alabama if they had Quentin Ewers. But again, I think Quentin Ewers is the real deal, and absolutely I think we can beat Oklahoma with them.
I can tell you right now that after Oklahoma got bounced 55-24, being number ranked 18th, to go to a game against Texas, for some reason or another, that loss is going to resonate as much. And again, what we have going on with Oklahoma and Texas is we call the Big 12 get your butt kicked tour on the way out the door. Okay. With that said, when you have a lopsided loss that Oklahoma had, I think for some crazy reason, maybe yours is coming back, but I would still give the edge to Oklahoma that they're going to be mad after what happened the last week. And TCU will eventually be the cream of the crop when it comes to the new revised Big 12. So I'm going to lean on Oklahoma. I've always been a firm believer that a team that gets his butt kicked real badly by another one generally bounces back. And when you have a rivalry game, that makes things a little bit more interesting as well. So I'm going to give the edge to the Sooners on this one.
All right, and I know definitely the Longhorns is definitely glad to see Quentin Ewers back. So what's keeping Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies from taking that next step?
I love this question. All right. Not cashing in on those NIL deals, my friend. And obviously the pressure of Kevin Sumlin's success over at Texas A&M. The records between Sumlin and Fisher are eerily similar, and there's a lot of money in Texas. We'll just see whether or not Jimbo Fisher can get some of those better prospects. He's done a good job all year bashing Nick Saban, making himself look like an idiot, getting into a fight with a coach where now who could potentially kick his butt this weekend. I think Texas A&M was, 3-2? And I know that Alabama had a scare to Texas, but Jimbo Fisher needs to really quit talking and let his team do it for him. But, I don't know about the NIL deals, whether he's getting enough of those premium prospects or not. But Kevin Sumlin is looking pretty good right now to Texas A&M fans who are looking to run him out real quickly. And look what you ended up getting with Jimbo Fisher, although I think Jimbo Fisher is a good coach.
Scott said it all. And like Scott said, man, couldn't agree with him more. You hate a garbage talker, especially when a coach has more national championships on his finger than you do. Then you talk trash to that coach. That's like pissing off a Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan right there. And again, the last thing you want to do is piss them off. And the last thing you want to do is piss Nick Saban off. And he's going to have a well whooped behind this weekend.
Yeah, a lot of people are waiting for this game for a while. Now you're going to see it. So I don't know if it'll be competitive or not, but Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban going at it because of a lot of the NIL talk, to me, is one of those deals where now you get to see it on the field. And I think they'll handshake depending on how it all plays out. But I don't know. Jimbo Fisher needs a statement win in the worst way, and he needs it badly against Alabama.
So who wins that game?
You know what? I'm still going to go Alabama. You got to remember, Texas A&M didn't beat Miami too impressively. Miami beat Miami in that football game. They really did. So they got a gift from the Canes. I'm going to go Alabama. I have to. Would I like to see A&M win? Probably, because I can't stand Saban anyways. I don't like the way he left the Miami Dolphins covering it up, and all of a sudden he bolted Alabama. There's ways to leave and there's ways not to leave, and he figured a way not to leave. That doesn't discount the fact he's arguably one of the best college football coaches ever. Pretty hard to take away from the amount of national championships he's had, played against some of the top competition for sure. So to me, I believe Alabama, but I would like to see Texas A&M, and that's where I'm at with that. Well, I'll be back Monday, so I can take the criticism or the praise, however you guys want to give it to me. I'm ready for it on Monday.
So Dante,
at least I'm not traveling to Alabama this weekend. That's a good news. So I only have 2 events locally, so I'll be a whole lot fresher than I was when I couldn't make it last Monday because I was tired.
So Dante, you still taking Alabama to win this game against A&M?
Yep.
All right. And let me see here. Moving on here. You taking Texas to beat Oklahoma?
Yep.
All right. Who is the best unranked team right now?
You know what? I'm going with the Maryland Terrapins. I am.
Oh, they got Baby Tua down there.
Yeah, that's why. They're playing much better. Tagovailoa's brother's 120. Completions for 159 yards. The kid, to me, has 8 touchdowns against 4 interceptions. Maryland's come a long way. I think they're really actually building a good program. And I thought about App State too, Damien. I really did. But I'm going to go with Maryland. They played Michigan and Michigan State tough. They nearly beat Michigan. In fact, let me go over their schedule for just a moment, okay? They ended up losing to Michigan, but it was competitive in Ann Arbor. That game was 34-27 at the Big House, and then they hosted Michigan State, won 27-13. The other games, well, they beat out SMU, Charlotte, forget about them, Buffalo, I don't know, but SMU, Michigan, and Michigan State. So this game against Purdue should be interesting. So you know what? I'm going to go with the Maryland Terrapins this time. Baby Tua gets a little love, even if his brother's a little banged up for a while, and has a few headaches that it's going to take a while to figure out.
Dante, who you got?
I'm going to take Arkansas. On this one. I know they're a 2-loss team. But you got to think where the losses come from. Alabama. I mean, they lost to Alabama. I know it's bad because they lost to a backup quarterback from Jalen Milroe, a freshman. But it's Alabama. They still can get things done on the defensive side of the ball. They still make plays. Then they gave away a game, in my opinion, I think to A&M. But I think this is the best ranked squad, and it doesn't hurt because they play in a tough conference, which is the SEC, probably the number 1 Power 5 conference that you would think of. But I'm gonna go with Arkansas. It's the best unranked football team. They lost 2 straight. One of them should have been a win. Texas A&M should have been a win. Should have been a game that they should have won.
All right. Well, there you have it there with the best unranked team. And let me hear. Gotta get my keep going against my list here. All right. So, which head coach job is most desirable?
I'm assuming you're talking college, right?
Yes, sir.
And the 5 that I have listed, correct me, I don't know if your list matches it, but I believe Nebraska, Arizona State, Wisconsin, Colorado, and Georgia Tech are all Power 5 jobs. Unless there's other ones that probably I'm not mentioning. You let me know.
Nope, that was it.
Yeah, you know what? For some reason, I'm going to go Wisconsin number 1 and Nebraska number 2. Jim Leonard's getting an audition there. I'll be interested to see what the talent pool is. I have a gut feeling if Jim Leonard has a decent finish that he'll get the job anyways. Darrell Bevel would be a name I'd throw out there, who used to quarterback the Badgers, but I think they're going to ultimately end up with an internal candidate. Lance Leipold's name is being tied to the job, but I hear that he's really happy at Kansas, so I don't see him going there. I really don't. In fact, he used to coach over the University of Wisconsin Whitewater Division III school and won a bunch of championships there. So I'm going to say Wisconsin, but whoever gets that Nebraska job and can turn that program around will look awfully good. I think they can appreciate Frank Solich and Bo Pelini now after what you've just had the last several years. You can. You know, Frank Solich went on to coach at Ohio University, the Bobcats, had a great career there. So Arizona State's going on probation. Colorado's in a conference that nobody really knows what's going on with that conference in terms of realignment, if it's going to be together. Georgia Tech, to me, is lost in the ACC. So I'll go Wisconsin and Nebraska. Whoever gets that Nebraska job, if you can do pretty well with it, then I guarantee they'll appreciate a whole lot more than your predecessors. But Wisconsin number 1, Nebraska number 2.
Dante.
I'm gonna go with the same Nebraska and Wisconsin. It's hard to believe Wisconsin fell off like this. They fired a coach that won 72% of his games in Wisconsin. That's crazy. That's a ridiculous win percentage. 72% of his games that he won, and he gets booted out. He gets fired after just a bad season like this, after getting mopped on the floor by Chase Brown and the Illinois fighting the Illini. They got mopped up and down the field against them. I believe they already have. Don't be surprised, but I think their next coach is in Wisconsin right now, and I believe he played in the NFL. I know his first name is Jim something. I think he's part of the defensive staff, so don't be surprised if their next head coach is already in the building. And like I said, I'm thinking about for Nebraska, Bill O'Brien. Like I said, I brought him up in numerous occasions. Bill O'Brien will be a candidate. Will be a candidate for college for next job. You can look for Bill O'Brien, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone in the NFL comes to college and, like a Byron Leftwich decides if he's offered, they'll take one of these college jobs that's going to be open. So I'll say Bill O'Brien. I think he's a strong candidate to become a head coach. Where I think he can be a head coach of Nebraska or anywhere else. But I believe, Wisconsin has a head coach in the building. I believe that. So I definitely agree with Scott. Wisconsin and Wisconsin, and Nebraska is the two probably hottest spots you want to go to. If anybody can turn that Nebraska program around, full credit to them. But after getting mopped off the floor, off the field by Chase Brown in Illinois was the last straw. But I mean, again, 72% of your games you won. That is hard to do as a head coach or a player. That is hard to do.
Yeah, you know what's amazing? I'm glad you touched on a good point, Coach. Okay, and I'll break them down one by one. Okay, and Damian, you're on a roll. I'm going to get to you in a moment. First of all, okay, the guy was 2-3. Lost to Ohio State badly. I guess you kind of expected that. Lose to Brett Bielema badly. You got coach there. Boy, that's really bad. I think they were premature pulling the plug on Paul Chryst. I really do believe that they were premature pulling the. Now, let me go to Damian in a moment because he's got some pretty interesting stuff. I'm going to make sure we do address his comments there.
I'm surprised. That's not always accurate. He has something right.
All right, but this time I'm actually giving credit where it's due, Keith. So bear with me on this, okay, buddy? So to me, again, I think Jim Leonard is the favorite for the Wisconsin job.
Yeah, that's the name, Jim.
Well, he's been key. This guy's been a heavily coveted coach, okay, throughout the time, and he stayed in Wisconsin because he's loyal. All he's got to do is show some life and put some energy in the program, and he's going to get the job. I really do believe it. Now I want to go back to your thought on Bill O'Brien. I think he's the only choice to go to Nebraska. What few people don't understand is Bill O'Brien cleaned up the mess by Joe Paterno after that Jerry Sandusky fiasco and made Penn State relevant enough so Franklin, God, what's his name? Franklin, I don't know the first name, don't really care, was able to inherit the program from Bill O'Brien. So I think Bill O'Brien should be the guy. Give me the Franklin name, first name for Penn State, James Franklin. I think that's
James Franklin. It's James Franklin.
Right. So therefore, Bill O'Brien did a good job getting that program out of some tough spots so James Franklin can take it over. But Jim Leonard, to me, is a guy that they should hire. But the Bill O'Brien one is pretty good. Now, Damian, I haven't forgotten about you yet. I'm not worried about Mel Tucker getting fired. He's locked into a long-term deal at Michigan State's not going to dump him. Quit while you're ahead there. But Urban Meyer is the one guy I could see Nebraska going out there and hiring. And I'll tell you why, okay? Urban Meyer has Michigan's number, and he's won in a Power 5 conference, and he's won a national championship. If you are looking for a splash hire in Nebraska and you don't want Bill O'Brien, then Urban Meyer should be on your fast dial list, quick dial list. That's the guy who I would put in there. So I think it really would come down to Bill O'Brien or Urban Meyer. You know what, Damian, I don't know you that well. Not really worried about it, okay? But, you know, you scored a couple of points with me in this particular case, putting Urban Meyer as Nebraska. And I think Nebraska would be bold enough to make the move, knowing how desperate that program is to get back to relevance. And more importantly, Urban Meyer, you know, and then another guy to throw out there would be Eric Bieniemy. I don't know whether he would be the type of guy that could end up with Nebraska or some of these other openings. I could see Eric Bieniemy resurfacing at Colorado. After all, he played ball there. If he doesn't become the next Denver Broncos coach, I would say Eric Bieniemy would be a guy that I would look very quickly at for the Colorado Buffaloes job. He's going. He'll be back in the Rocky Mountains one way or the other. That's what I think. But Wisconsin, Nebraska, Jim Leonard, to me, and I do like the Bill O'Brien. I like what he did over at Penn State, and I think he's ready to go back. And don't forget, he's been working with Nick Saban a little bit.
Yep.
Nick
He's
Saban
offensive coordinator.
Back guys and revitalize their coaching careers, and they go back on their feet again. You don't believe me? Ask Lane Kiffin. He got his career on track, and all these other guys that have followed suit that are back in the saddle because of Nick Saban.
The last time Christian Hackenberg was a good quarterback was under who? Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, but the problem, you know what the problem was with that though? Here's your biggest problem, okay? Is Bill O'Brien didn't take him when he had a chance to go to the Texans.
Yep.
He didn't do that. Damian Hernandez is another interesting thought. I like this guy. He does keep you thinking. Whether you think the guy's right or not, okay, I got to give it to Damian. He does get the wheels turning a little bit. You know what? I would think John Gruden could get a college job, but maybe at a smaller level until he can go ahead and repair his image. Because what he did was really damaged it badly. I think John Gruden would be a diamond in the rough to go back into college ranks. In fact, if there's ever a place for John Gruden to get a job, I would send him to Arizona State and go behind Herman Edwards. I'll tell you what, that would get his stock up there really quickly, because I'll tell you this, when he goes to Arizona State to clean up that mess that Edwards left behind, okay, John, there you go. You want to get back in coaching? Fix this, okay? And another guy that I could see coaching down the road would be Ed Orgeron. Take some of that money that the Tigers are paying him, and I could see him getting that. But I'm not so sure I'd see Ed Orgeron in this hiring cycle with the 5 openings that you brought in. But no, I think John Gruden intrigues me in college because he'll never sniff the NFL again. No way. Not even sniff it, Damian. Take that to the bank. I know who you bank with. Pretty good choice.
Now, do y'all see Herm Edwards getting another job anywhere?
Yeah, ESPN.
Yep, commentating. Yep.
Yeah, he'll be back in
ESPN. I'll get another college job.
He's proven that he can't coach in college, and obviously, you know, he's getting a little older, so I don't know if he wants to pro grind again. Yeah, he'll be back in ESPN. You can rest assured that the moving trucks are going from Tucson all the way to Bristol or New York, depending on where they want them. They want them out in New York City at the pier, fine. If you want them in Bristol, Herman Edwards will be there as fast as you can snap your finger. I don't think he's going anywhere but ESPN, and they love him there. But he's not getting another job in coaching. I think he's done.
One other thing I didn't put in with the whole Alabama thing, Bryce Young is day to day with that shoulder injury. If he can't go, is that a turning point, or does Alabama still win?
No, Alabama will win. Nick Saban will find somebody else. Everybody thought Tua Tagovailoa got hurt. We had Jalen Hurts, right?
Mhm.
You know, he finds ways to get quarterbacks in there. You know, all of a sudden you find a replacement. He's pretty good, and then you have a two-headed monster. I think they'll be fine. Yeah, you'd like that Bryce Young, but you can rest assured Nick Saban's going in line for 2, 3, 4 succession like he always does. That's why he's been an elite coach, because he's been able to find replacements like every good college coach you should. Your first one goes down, you better have planned 2, 3, and 4. Treat college coaches like great white sharks, and I mean great white sharks. If a tooth falls out, another one grows back in. That's all I'm talking about. Now, I'm not asking you to go to the water. I'm not asking you to watch Jaws. Okay, I used to read books like that, and I stayed out of the water when I watched Jaws one too many times. But my analogy to Nick Saban is exactly what it is. Okay, if his quarterback goes down, he'll bring somebody else. Tua, Jalen Hurts, the list goes on and on. Right, Mac Jones, and they reel him out of there. AJ McCarron, I believe, came out of there too. So they can bring up quarterbacks. Somebody succeed. But he's had a lot of good ones lately come out. So I think they'll be fine. Well, even after this week, depending on how it all plays out. So, hey, normal guy, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on, normal guy? What you think, Dante?
You know what? I definitely 1000% agree with Scott. I'm gonna use Greg Hardy term in an interview. Next question.
That's good. I like that. Good stuff.
All right.
He's gonna find a way to adjust. And Jalen Miro, like I said, he's from Houston. I watched him play. He's a dual threat quarterback, and he can also throw the ball. Nick Saban to adjust, like Scott said, he's got a plan A, B, and C, and D. It's not a plan that he don't got, or a game plan he don't got going. So next question.
Hey, well, I'll give you an answer, Coach. Like I said, I'm glad to be working with you on the mornings. Well, one of these days, I got to bring on one of my broadcasts at night, and I have every intention to. You're my best kept secret here at Coffee and Sports. And by the way, is it okay, Key, if I put some contact information out there? Do you mind? Let me get the brand out there a little bit. It won't take that long.
We do it every show, Scott. I'm sure they know where they can find you.
But yeah, but nothing like the old repetition, my friend. Right? I love doing it. You know, I told my wife how much I love coming on the show. So thank you very much for the love, man. I'll try it again. www.southfloridatribune.com. On Twitter at Tribune South, and of course go to my YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. You get to see me and all the other people that I bring on from all over the sports world. So yeah, hey Key, I enjoy you and Coach. You guys are my teammates a few times a week. I actually enjoy Freddie. You know, he stimulates me, and Gene yesterday was good. All you guys on this show are Brett, all you guys are good peeps. I enjoy being on this. You guys are my weekly get up in the morning, you know, regardless of what the heck I'm drinking. So yeah, so please subscribe to South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. Would totally appreciate it. Okay, with that said, yeah, Coach, I got to bring you on with some of my experts. I know you tend to pop in once in a while and say hi, so we're going to do that. We're going to make that happen, okay, Coach?
Okay, let's do it.
Shows to get you in,
let's do it.
You know, you pop in from time to time. You give me a little love. Yeah,
got you, man. I got to always show that love to everybody.
Yeah, but don't I acknowledge you? I acknowledge you, right?
Hey, yeah, yes, you do, man. I enjoy working with you, man. I enjoy working with you. Getting up early in the morning.
Oh, you guys are the best, man.
All right, so we got the Cinderella versus the Big 12's fastest team. We got TCU, 17th TCU going against number 19th Kansas. We all got to win this game, and why?
Oh, God, I knew you were going to bring this one up. You know what? Last time you were saying, why isn't Kansas not ranked? And you know what? I kept saying, I don't know, but I know they're going to be ranked. So you know what? To be consistent with what I'm going to say, I am rooting for the Kansas Jayhawks, period. Want to score? I don't know, 31-29. Kansas.
Dante, who you picking?
I'm taking the Kansas Jayhawks as well, man. They are up and coming team coming up in the Big 12. Man, they got the program right. Kansas hasn't been good since the 2007 season. The last time they made it to the Big 12 championship with a berth to go to the that was when the computers picked the national championship and who goes. This time I think Kansas has been up in that road part of things. have been good when they played Missouri in the Big 12 and got drilled by Missouri in the Big 12 championship game. In Missouri ended up getting thrashed by Oklahoma, which set up a 2-loss LSU beating Ohio State in the national championship that year. Look at the 2007 season, all upsets. If you were number 2, you were getting upset each and every week. So that was the last time I think Kansas was actually good in my eyes.
Wasn't it Paul Mangino? I'm trying to remember who it was that was the head coach. I can find it out.
It was Paul Mangino, but I think they had a quarterback number 5 name. It was Reese something. And
I'm talking about the last coach that was relevant coach over at Kansas, and it was Paul Mangino. I'm not sure about the quarterbacks. Not like they produce quarterbacks; they produce basketball players.
That was Paul Mangino. That was the last time that they were good. They were actually good. But I'm taking Kansas, man. I really like what they're doing. I really like. Go ahead.
You keep setting us up for when are they going to get ranked? When are they going to get ranked? I think I'm going to sit there and bet against a team that we all want to get ranked. No, come on. I'm giving the Jayhawks a little bit of love. Was it Jayhawk talk? I don't even know what it is. All I can say is, I believe Wilt Chamberlain played basketball there, if I remember right. So there you go. You have a pretty good history. Danny Manning on the basketball side, Larry Brown winning a national championship, and now they get to. I actually visited the University of Kansas campus a long time ago. So really a beautiful place out in Lawrence. It really is. Enjoyed it. Actually took a tour of the museums. And of course, I was going to get to those sports facilities. It's impossible. I never saw a game at Allen Fieldhouse. So I walked there and checked it out. And I went to the football stadium. It's really nice out there in Lawrence.
All right, so you got the number 2 Georgia going up against the Auburn. Now Georgia did almost get they money ran, but they did pull that game off. Auburn's defense have held 4 or 5 opponents to 21 or fewer points, while Georgia will top that by winning by 30. They got the spread is a lot, but they got Georgia winning by plus 30. Who wins this game? Is this another trap game?
No, Georgia's going to roll. I need to save my voice on some of these topics. So I know when to turn up the energy, coach. I know when not to turn it up. And this is one of those things where I'm turning it down. No, Georgia to me is elite in the Southeastern Conference all around the country.
Dante?
I'm going to say the same thing, but I'm going to go. LSU has played Mercer, not a scrimmage game. They have played San Jose State. They have won 24-18. They played who else did they actually end up playing? They played one more. Oh, they played Missouri. They won by a field goal because Missouri ended up missing a field goal in regulation. And plus Missouri fumbled the ball at the 1-yard line going in to score at that. So they beat them by a field goal. The game that they actually had competition was against Penn State. They got smoked. So I'm going to go Greg Hardy. Next question.
Yeah, you might as well, man. I love the way you pick up some of these. I'm going to take the fifth. Greg Hardy, next question. All that. You're all right, coach. I couldn't have a greater situation than sit here and talk sports with you a few times a week, man. It's okay.
They got Georgia Southern and Georgia State. They got the under being 66.5. Now 8 of these teams, 10 games have gone under 66.5 points. But who wins this game between Georgia Southern and Georgia State?
Oh, I got to go Clay Helton and Georgia Southern, right? And now where he's at, I'm going to go Clay Helton. I don't know what the score is. I haven't looked at these lower tier games that much to pay much attention, but I'll drink the Clay Helton Kool-Aid.
Dante, are you doing the next question again?
No, I'm going with Scott.
You got Virginia Tech over Pitt. Over there in the ACC.
Some Pittsburgh team has to win. I'll give it to the Panthers.
I'll take the Pittsburgh Panthers.
I think
some of these games are classic, Key. I didn't go that deep into the schedule, and I didn't go upstairs. But if you want to throw them out there for the sake of conversation, I'll respond the best I can.
So we got number 12, Oregon going against Arizona.
Gotta go Oregon. I've actually seen that matchup many years ago when Joey Harrington rolled up 500 and some odd yards against Arizona. I was covering the Arizona Wildcats for a station out in Phoenix, actually 3 games I went there. And a guy by the name of Clarence Farmer was a running back. And the way he ran, he looked like Larry Sanders. And Oregon rolled him by over 500 yards, and Joey lit it up. I said, "This is the first time I saw him." And the Lions were in town that weekend to take on the Cardinals. So now Oregon, the Ducks quacked pretty loud against Arizona. The Wildcats are going to be Wildcats.
So what about Florida State and NC State?
I got to go Florida State. I don't care. I'm going to go Florida State anyways. I like what Mike Norvell's doing. I really do. I think he's finally getting things straightened out. I know that East Coast Gridiron, before he decided to go bye-bye, wanted Willie Taggart out there right away, but I do feel that these Seminoles went out there and made the right hire with this guy. You just have to be patient once in a while with coaches. And this is a case where patience actually pays off. I'm going to go with the Seminoles on this one.
Dante, you got Florida State?
Yes, sir. My boy ECG. I will be on the call doing that game for him. I am taking the nose to go in NC State and upset NC State Wolfpack. So I'm going for the nose.
Well, I guess one of us is going to be right on Monday, right, Coach? If you're on Monday with me, one of us. No,
I'm going to be on.
Yeah, and my agenda next week, just so you know, Key and everybody, if you're following me on the show, probably be Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday is what it'll be looking, just so you guys know. I have other obligations a couple days during the week I have to address, but Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, if you want to send me hate mail, that's okay. I have no problem with it. I'll answer everything on the planet from hate mail to like mail or whatever. No big deal. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Motor City Madmouth on this plateau with whoever's out there that wants to take their best shots at me in and out of basketball, football, whatever.
Again, just to pass some time here.
I'll talk baseball. What do you need to pass time for? We got baseball. Coach loves it when we talk baseball. Go ahead. You want to pass time?
Oh, yeah, Dante wasn't on yesterday.
Right.
We did run down the wild card picks. So Dante, who you got in this wild card and who's moving on?
What is the games again?
So it's going to be the Phillies and the Cardinals. Phillies and Cardinals. We got Mets in San Diego. We got the Guardians versus the Rays.
Oh, we talked about this on the.
I know we talked about it on.
I'll get it to you again. Then I'll get it to you. All right, so I got the Cardinals beating the Phillies 2-1. I think the Cardinals are playing some good baseball. When Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt could be a sleeper MVP. Paul Goldschmidt can be the NL MVP. I think he's been consistent the whole year long. Even when he was with some bad Arizona team, Paul Goldschmidt has been a consistent bat. Nolan Arenado has come and helped him at third base. Albert Pujols, what a terrific career, is hot. I'm going for the Cardinals. I just think the Cardinals are just better in a playoff scenario than the Philadelphia Phillies. And I'm going for the Cardinals to beat the Phillies.
All right. What about the Mets in San Diego?
I'm going for the upset. I'm going for the San Diego Padres.
Really?
I think Juan Soto will make a difference in that lineup. Along with Josh Bell and Manny Machado. I know their Padres pitching has been suspect. I know Blake Snell has been suspect. But then again, I think you got the bats to hit Jacob DeGrom. I think they got the bats to be patient and make them work in counts. But I'm going for the upsets. I just cannot trust the Mets. At all. So I'm going to take the upset right here.
All right, for the Rays, you got Shane Callahan going up against the Mariners. I'm not the Mariners. The Cleveland Guardians. Who you got?
I got the Cleveland Guardians. Like I said, I got another upset right here. Shane McClanahan, when he actually plays someone that's very good, that can work the counts and not swing at his filthy, dirty pitching. I think the Cleveland Guardians can make him work, run the pitch count up, and they will eventually get to him. And I also like what they got. I also like the young bats that they got as well. So I'm going to take the Cleveland Guardians.
And we got the Mariners and the Blue Jays. Who are you taking?
I got the Seattle Mariners winning the series. I know the Blue Jays. I mean, they got George Springer. They got Vladimir. They got They got Vladdy Guerrero Jr.
Right.
But I think the Seattle Mariners are interesting too. I think their pitching style is a lot more better. Gonzalez is a very good pitcher. I know his record says otherwise, but the Mariners don't score runs for Gonzalez. Luis Castillo, that's a big pitching arm that they got from the Cincinnati Reds. They also got Garrett. the big left-hander, a right-hander who's very good. So, and gives credit to Scott Service. He has done a great job with this Seattle Mariners team.
Yeah, let me go over my picks again since Coach wasn't on. I actually have Cleveland beating Tampa Bay. I really do. I like the Cardinals over the Phillies. I went with Toronto over Seattle, but I'm not comfortable with the pick. But I still did nonetheless. I like the Mets over the Padres, but you know what? I could see the Padres winning it easily because the reason why I can tell you that, Coach, is this. Think about it, okay? The New York Mets spent 175 days in first place.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Atlanta Braves spent all of 8. And who is playing in the first round? The Mets. So, to me, playing that extra series is taxing all the way around. So, I admire you for making the San Diego pick. I really, really, really do admire you. Everybody wants to see Pujols with a swan song. And, don't forget that Robbie Ray used to pitch for the Blue Jays a year ago and signed as a free agent with Seattle.
Yep.
And I like the Guardians. That's been a good story. A few people realize that Terry Francona is the most underrated manager.
I told him that on the Between the Lines podcast. That dude that's a good manager.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I hate to use the word underrated in Terry Francona's case, but you know what? He doesn't get recognized as much only because he's in Cleveland, whereas it being a smaller market compared to Boston and Philadelphia. So, it's got some interesting matchups, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk more and more baseball next week for sure. And I mean, this weekend, my focus will be on the Miami Hurricanes tomorrow against North Carolina. And I have a soccer match this weekend. I believe Montreal takes on Inter Miami. It should be a pretty good game as well. So I'm looking forward to it. We have one of our better players who's actually retiring, but Inter Miami made it to the playoffs. So I'm looking forward to taking a drive 15 miles away instead of 12 hours away on Sunday. It's a little easier to get back without any turnpike and any taxing driving.
So I didn't put y'all X factors for each series. Who's going to be the X factor in these games?
Hey, matter of fact, I got one more question. Hey, Key, what did I say? What the Braves was going to do to the New York Mets when they were? What did I say?
You kept saying you was like the Mets will find a way to choke, and the Braves will be the NL East winners at when it's all said and done.
Even when they had that large lead, I said the Braves gonna come back and get them. I said the Braves was gonna come back anyway and get them, and they eventually they did. But go ahead, Keith. Go ahead.
Who's your X factor in the win? And since y'all picked your winners, who's going to be the X factors?
My X factors for the Cleveland Guardians is Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is an X factor. He's been a great leader to this team. The third baseman, one of the most underrated players. You saw him end up hearing the Shohei Ohtanis, the Mike Trouts. You hear the Juan Sotos. You hear everybody else, but you don't hear Jose Ramirez mentioned as a very good third baseman for the Cleveland Guardians. I believe his bat is going to be key. And also, I'm going to throw up another pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians. How about McKenzie? McKenzie, a very good young arm pitcher from the Cleveland Guardians. So that is my two wild card key players for the Cleveland Guardians. For the San Diego Padres, I'm going to go with Josh Bell and Blake Snell. Right there. For the Phillies, I'm going to have to go with Rhys Hoskins. Rhys Hoskins, and Aaron Noah. I'm going to have to go with them. And for the Seattle Mariners, it's going to have to start with Luis Castillo and Ty France. Ty France should have made the All-Star team this year at first base for the or at least he should have been made the All-Star reserve. Ty France has been very consistent with this team. And for the Blue Jays, you got Alejandro Kirk and you got George Springer, that championship pedigree.
All right, I'm going to give you some X factors too, but they don't necessarily have to be players, okay? Cleveland Guardians, the X factor is Terry Francona, period. If it weren't for Terry Francona, his shrewd way of being able to manage the club, they're not even there anyways. A lot of people thought the White Sox were going to win the division. Didn't happen. Now they're looking for a new manager. Philly series is interesting because you have an interim manager taking over for Joe Girardi, who has a chance to get that job outright. And the other factor, believe it or not, might be Albert Pujols going out with a swan song. Another situation in the Seattle Mariners series, well, you're looking for an X factor. I would say Robbie Ray looking to get a revenge against the Blue Jays, and then the Blue Jays have an interim manager. So, and again, now when you look at the San Diego Padres, again, I'm going to go back to the managers. I still love Buck Showalter. I really do. He should have gotten a ring with Arizona. Didn't work out. Bob Brenly got it. Bob Melvin's made a difference for the Padres. He had a little bit of experience there. He won with Oakland, and they made some bold moves at the trade deadline. So there's a lot of different things that are X factors. But I don't think an X factor always has to be a player. Excuse me. I think it can be a manager and how much experience they have in the market that they're at. Bob Melvin's moved into a situation where they're going to spend money. Okay. They really are. He's got more resources. When Don Mattingly eventually gets hired somewhere else, he's going to go into a place where there's more money and he'll be able to have better players. Why am I bringing him up? Well, as you know, Key, I was at the game on Tuesday night and one more media availability. That'll be up on my YouTube channel. But again, getting back to my point, managers could be X factors because they have to make changes on the pitching staff, decide to fill out the lineup cards. How do you not make them X factors, right? No matter how good your players are, if they're not available, they're no good to you, right?
That's true.
San Diego made some good trades on the stretch. Bob Melvin's heck of a manager. He won in Oakland. Terry Francona to me is just Terry Francona. He wins everywhere. And he's responsible for two of the bigger droughts, one of the biggest droughts in baseball, and Red Sox won it all. And he's done well. And, of course, Albert Pujols, for crying out loud, 703 home runs. That's what you've got. Pretty interesting. It starts shortly. Excuse me. How about that? Coffee and sports leading up to Major League Baseball. My goodness. Something Freddie Henderson would want to think about. Nothing against you personally, Freddie, but we're not leading up to NBA, my friend. You know, we're leading up to Major League Baseball, so we want to make sure that we got our audience to get ready for some great baseball action. 4 games today. Tampa Bay Rays, Guardians start at 12:07. Philadelphia Phillies, 2:07. Seattle Mariners, Toronto Blue Jays, 4:07. And guess what? The nightcap, San Diego Padres against the Met, 8:07. There you go. There's your baseball lineup. Glad to have it. And you know what, Freddie? Love you, my man. Glad for the opportunity to be able to talk with be on Coffee and Sports, whatever else we do, pal.
All right, so I got the Philly sweeping, not being biased, but I just think because of Goldsmith and Renato can't hit well off of Nola and Wheeler. So because Wheeler and Nola's getting the starts 1 and 2 this today and tomorrow. I got the Guardians going 3. I'm going to say I picked the Blue Jays in a minute. I believe I'll pick Seattle in 3, and then I got the Mets sweeping.
I'm happy those Seattle ended that 20-year drought. I really am. You know, they're good people up there. One of my good
I thought
friends,
11 years was bad. They had 2 decades.
Yeah, 21 years. In fact, one of my colleagues, Dave Sims, is a broadcaster for the Seattle Mariners. I ran into him this year at the Marlins game, and I saw him a couple of years ago over in North Carolina for an organization that I belong to. I'm happy for Seattle. It's good to see. I'll see how well they do, but at least I don't have to worry about that gorilla on their back called not making it to the playoffs. A lot of good things ahead for the people up in the Pacific Northwest.
All right. So, do you think Goldschmidt can get NL MVP, Scott?
And I don't see any reason why he can't. I'm not sure about that one. But the Cardinals, to me, look awfully good. Anytime you make it to the playoffs, you're certainly worthy of MVP consideration. I wouldn't totally rule them out.
I mean, I don't really see nobody in the National League who was really, it's not like clear winner and Aaron Judge in the AL. But
what about Freddie Freeman? Don't you think he's done enough up there in LA to earn it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could go down to either one.
Yeah, I think if I were going to decide to go either way, I'd give the edge to Goldschmidt right now. I would.
All right, so it is 11:53, and we're just wrapping things up. What y'all got going, Dante? What you got going on this weekend?
Well, I got tonight. Today I'm gonna be doing the Phillies and Cardinals with Robert and Tyler at 2:00. I believe that is 1:10 my time. I believe. Then I got my Rockets second preseason game versus the Toronto Raptors tonight at 7:00 in Toyota Center. Then Saturday I got a football game Saturday morning, and then coming off of it, I got Florida State versus NC State in that night, and then NFL. I got my Houston Texans going up against the Jaguars I'm gonna pitch in a Sunday night game as well. I'm pitching a Sunday night game, and I also would do Monday night football with Robert, Chiefs and Raiders.
Definitely. What do I have nothing planned. Well, I do still got planned stuff this weekend, but not streaming wise because my schedule will not let me to. Uh, my
Yes,
big
as I'm concerned, no broadcast for a change on the evening. I get tonight off. Today's my only time on the air. Tomorrow I have the Miami Hurricanes against the North Carolina Tar Heels over at Hard Rock / Joe Robbie Stadium. And then at Dry Pink Stadium, I have Inter Miami playing as well. So it'll be pretty good. And I have a lot of writing, social media, trying to relax a little bit, and a couple of broadcasts along the way until we fire this bad boy up on Monday. So, we stay busy here at the Tribune. We cover a lot of local events, and we try to make sure that we appear on as many shows as we can so we get the name out there, both locally and nationally, with the platform that I've developed. And now that I've added more and more broadcasts in and out of my network, I think it keeps things even more interesting as well. So, this will be a lighter week compared to last week. Think about it, Key and Coach. Last week, I had to leave at like 5, 6 o'clock at night. We didn't get to find a hotel like 5 in the morning the next day. Had to be at the racetrack at 8:30, getting my credentials. Was there till 6. That wasn't good enough. We got up early in the morning. Had to be at the racetrack at 8:30, and we drove all the way back from Alabama back to South Florida. I've been on the run since, so the Marlins game on Tuesday, and a bunch of shows. If you keep up with that, then you're really smart and genius. And I have a lot more coming in the coming weeks with it's Homestead Miami, another NASCAR race. We're hoping to cover that as well as more college football. A lot going on.
Well, I'm not doing nothing but going to high school football games and being a chauffeur. So,
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, baby boy got a game tonight. I think I'll be able to go to that. I still have some running around to do earlier in the day. But he is playing. I don't even know who he's playing. All I do is find his location in GPS and then go to him. So,
my wife is happy that I don't have to do any broadcasting. I say your voice needs a day off.
Yeah, baby boy got a game. He only has a couple more left before he is done for the season because they're not getting into the playoffs. They lost games they should have won, but yeah, and then nothing this weekend, nothing really. Oh, I am going to a WWE event tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. So I'll be in the Wells Fargo Center tomorrow night for that. So and then Sunday I'm just gonna be watching football. But there you have it, guys. We got another coffee and sports in the morning. And hold up, guess what, guys? Guess what? Monday. I'm gonna be canned up on Monday. You know why I'm gonna be canned up on Monday? Because I ain't gotta go to work. So y'all see me on person. I'll be canned up on Monday for the show. But Scott, Dante, as always, it's always been a pleasure. We're gonna wrap things up here. For all of y'all in the comments, as always, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for commenting each and every time y'all are in here. And we are going to head on out. But y'all got anything before we head on out?
Everybody have a good weekend. Be safe. Looking forward to catching up with you on Monday. I plan, like I told you, Key, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday is what it's looking like for me, probably going forward the majority of the time. And I'm looking forward to talking sports with everybody and whoever's on with me. I have a lot of fun with you guys. You guys are really great teammates. I'm really delighted to be a part of it all.
All right. And again, if you don't do nothing I wouldn't do, but if you gonna do it, just make sure you do it safely. Everybody enjoy the rest of your work day and afternoon. And we're gonna get on out of here. What's going on, everybody? Proud to announce the Spotlight Sports Network are partnered with SeatGeek. Save $20 off your first order for live events, concerts, and sporting events, and more. All you have to do is just insert the promo code Spotlight Sports Network to save today. Again, that's Spotlight Sports Network and save $20.